What's happened? And we're on. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Where Are They Now? And I think you know where I've been for the past 2 weeks, yes. I had COVID, but I'm here to tell the story. Isn't that great?
Incredible.
I'm so excited tonight because, as you all know, this is what we do. We talk about the lives of the legendary artists from this country. We talk about celebrating what they've done, where they've been, what has... Guys? What is happening? We're having one of those nights, don't worry. Here they share their journeys, their amazing experiences with us, and we're lucky to have witnessed these lives so well lived. Interesting night. Tonight's guests are the cause of a band that has not only had hits in Europe and Australia and the USA.
And Canada.
And
the Far East.
And Malaysia, I think, the Far East.
Yeah.
New Zealand, South America, Paraguay.
Yep.
You see, I did do my homework. Very loving people, and one of the biggest loved bands and longest working band, I think, in this country. And that's something to say, especially in a country like South Africa that is kind of small on the map, you know, and yet big in the hearts of its fans and everybody. Please welcome tonight from For Jackson and Jill, Clive Harding, Glenys Lynn.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Absolutely wonderful to have you here. I'm truly honored. For me, as I was saying earlier to Glenn, that I was just a very young girl and I see this lovely woman and she's singing and she's doing this music and she's got a band and I'm like, oh, I've got to do that. It's got to be part of my future. And you don't know this.
No.
You guys, when we're in bands and stuff, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes.
No.
We don't know who's talking about us, who's not talking about us. They say as long as they're talking, it's a good thing,
Yes,
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I know you started early with your band, The Atoms,
The Atoms,
which later became,
the Nevadas.
the Nevadas. Tell us a little bit about that, Clive.
Well, it's a very long story, but basically what happened
I'll
was...
cut you if you get too
Okay.
long.
I was attempting to do my matric.
Okay.
And my parents were living out in Midrand. We rented our house out in Northcliffe and we bought a place out in Midrand. And I was boarding with a friend in Northcliffe. And there was a band rehearsing there. And the band was called The Atoms.
Okay.
And I was helping them to build their guitars. And what happened was the bass player was never coming to rehearsals. So I said he should be fired. So they said, okay, we'll fire him. But then who's going to take over? So I said, well, I'll play bass. They said, but you can't play bass. I said, well, teach me. So they said, okay. And that was Graham Woods. And then what happened was I said, I'll only join the band on one condition. They said, what's that? I said, I must be leader of the band. Well, they thought that was...
Talk about chutzpah.
No, you've got to have chutzpah. Listen, how I got into Clout, they said, Look, we're starting rehearsals next week. I said, well, I'm going on tour with another band. Oh, no, then you can't join the band, but can we borrow your microphone? I said, well, you can borrow my microphone only if I can be in the band. So there you go. I know the story.
So anyway,
So that was that.
we got rid of the bass player. I then built my own bass guitar. And,
Wow.
And Graham Woods taught me to play bass, and I just became a bass player. And the Atoms then became the Nevadas, and the Nevadas eventually became the Zombies.
Okay. But now the name Glennis Lynn came in somewhere there. Should we say from Boxburg to the USA, darling?
Yeah,
I mean, really.
absolutely.
What was your story growing up?
I did tap dancing, and then people said that my mom should actually take me to singing lessons, which I couldn't do because I was 12. Not vocally,
Yes.
but I did sort of. I had a wonderful Jewish singing teacher called Al Preston.
Okay.
And can't remember the suburb that he stayed in now, but I used to ride on the back of my dad's motorbike, and he would take me to singing lessons. Yeah, yeah. And this man was amazing. He had a bone disease. He was in a wheelchair.
Oh, my goodness.
The whole of his studio wall was covered with equipment, which was outlandishly new then. So I would come, you know, the record that you saw at the beginning of,
yes.
I would get a blank record when I went there, and he would cut the record in his studio of a Doris Day song or this song, and then he had that song in many, many keys already recorded by a pianist, and then I would take it home, my disc with Doris Day or with somebody else, and then I could sing it at home. Then when I came back the next week, I would sit in one chair and he would sit there, and then down would come this microphone and he'd say, all right, now you record it. Then he'd record me singing it. Oh, the sound of your voice is never good the first time you hear
yes,
it,
I
or
know.
ever.
Yes.
And
Or ever.
yes.
Oh my God.
and then he would correct me and say, no, you flat here, you this here, there and there. And then on the other side of the studio was a huge wall just covered with mirrors and lights and smile, smile, smile. And he was just, he loved children so much.
Wow.
He just loved me into being free. And then I'll tell you my favorite story, and then Clive
Yes,
can
I
pick
want
up from
to
there.
hear it.
And so I was still tap dancing. So at I think 13, I sang a song called, you're too old, by the way, you wouldn't, no, too young, you wouldn't remember it, but it was called Alexander's Ragtime Band.
Okay.
Come on and hear,
Yes.
come on and hear, Alexander's Ragtime Band. Yeah. So I'd learned that, and I still did my tap dance with a big bow, and in the nightclub in Hillbrow. And oh, sorry guys, they touched my mic. Don't touch your mic. And so my mom and dad woke me up at about 10:30. I was sleeping. They woke me up, and I went on and I did my tap dance on the dance floor in front of the bandstand. And then after that, I got up on the bandstand, and he had taught me, the singing teacher, Al Preston, to announce the song. So I was never very good at dates. So I said, I'm going to sing a song made famous by Frank Sinatra in 1494, because it was actually 1949.
So 49, was he even born yet?
The place just broke up.
I like that.
Yeah, but then it continued from there. And when I was 15, I stopped singing. I worked for a record company, and that's where Clive
Also, who did you work for?
Teal.
Really?
RCA
Amazing. This is so similar to my story.
Really?
Yes, also started young and everything. Then I worked for a record company.
My.
This is crazy. And I think Al also taught you stagecraft in a way.
He just said smile.
Yeah.
And I think the rest kind of bubbled out of me from
Yes,
somewhere.
sure.
But he
But
made
he
me.
let you be free.
Yes, he made me announce the songs, and he would flash these lights, you know. He'd say, you don't just sing there, you know. So when the yellow light was there, then the green light was there, and the blue light was there.
And then you just continued singing. And
After
And
that,
she entered
meeting-
competitions.
Yeah.
And she won a car when she was 15 years old.
Hello. Wow.
But you know, I just love a little story that just a year ago, we were at a function where Eddie Eckstein was the artist. And I mean, the man is brilliant.
We love Eddie.
He's absolutely brilliant. And we were sitting right in the front, so he looked down at us and he said, "Oh, little Glenys Lynn, there she is, little Glenys Lynn," talking to her like she was 12.
Like
you see.
12.
And
like
he said, "You're not going to believe this, but Glenys, she won a motor car when she was only 15 years
Oh,
old.
my goodness.
And you know what? Cyril Green got the second prize, and you know what he got? He got a toaster."
I love this.
I mean, it's just, I
What a
just love
story.
the story. It's beautiful. The first guy gets a motor car, the second guy gets a toaster. Just an ordinary little toaster. It wasn't even a pop-up toaster.
Well, I think that's fantastic, and I think the girl should have got the car anyway.
Yeah.
Definitely. Girl won car. Because in those days, girls didn't have a lot of power. Not at all, actually. It was like, "Oh, Glenn, go do this, and go do that, and all that." And I think we had to fight for our little place in the sun, in a way.
I think most probably you fought more for yours because I had Clive.
You're right.
I did a lot of fighting for her.
I bet you did.
Guys were always trying to get off with her.
And I bet you didn't like that.
I didn't
Sitting
allow
at the
it.
band table, and I would see a guy approaching me,
Of
excuse
course.
me, to come and ask me to dance at the El Paso in the Killarney Hotel in Durban.
Okay, yes, of course.
And he would walk up and say, and this guitar neck would come right across between me and the guy, and he
so
would say,
clever.
"She doesn't dance."
Take a
I
hike,
think
boy.
that's fantastic. So at an early stage, he didn't let anybody near you.
No, but you see, he had God told him he was going to marry me. So
It was
he,
the strangest
he
thing.
had dibs on me.
You know-
Okay, so you weren't even seeing each other at the time.
No.
You know what happened? My band, okay, had at that time Julian Laxton was playing lead guitar for us.
We
You know
love
Julian, hey?
Julian.
Yeah.
God, yes.
Great music, lovely guy.
Lovely guy.
Anyway, I was sitting down in the gardens of the Mulder's Drift Hotel reading a thing called Teen Beat. It was a
I
magazine.
remember
that?
TV, yes.
And there was this picture of a girl pretending to pull a bus loaded with guys in the back. It was Johnny Congress and the G-Men. And this girl pretending to pull the bus was Glenys. I'd never even heard of her.
Oh,
And I looked at
goodness.
this picture. It wasn't a
I
very
had shot
flattering
her
picture.
like
It wasn't a very flattering picture. And this little voice inside says to me, "That's going to be your wife."
Oh,
And I
my
look
Lord.
around, there's nobody there. I thought that was really strange. And I didn't meet her for a year.
Oh, that's crazy.
I didn't meet her for
Huh?
a year. A year later, I
That's-
met her for the first time.
Now let's have a look at some of our comments, people. Wow. For Jackson and Jill were the first show my parents took us to see when we lived in Kimberley. And hi guys, Germany is watching. She's the head of my fan club. She watches all the shows. And good evening from Mark Kirby and Carlin, Natasha Ribeiro. You are always in our hearts. Helen van Wyk.
Neil Hopwood.
Yes, you know Neil. We all know
Yes.
Neil. We love Neil. Alison, Ellie Ogston. We love Ellie. They're the Cliff Richards of South Africa.
Lovely
Dave
compliment.
Evans has a question for you guys. Having gigged at the Kenaway Hotel in East London many moons ago, I heard that Mr. Tilsha, the owner of the
Tilsha?
hotel, let Morris Fresco sign the band only if they change their name
Yes.
from the Zombies to For Jackson and Jill.
That's
It's
absolutely
true.
correct. And do you know who gave us the name?
Who?
Don Hughes and
Oh.
an American comedian called Jimmy Casanova,
Oh,
and
my
his daughter
goodness.
married Mel Green from Mel and Julia.
Oh, for goodness sake.
Hey, how
Yeah.
about that?
No, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I remember Don Hughes, the Don Hughes agency. They were the
Yes.
guys. Hey?
They were.
They definitely were the guys. So, you guys obviously eventually come together,
Yes.
as in musically,
Yes, he picked me up from the
Pick-
Teal Record Company.
literally.
Yeah, well,
I'm just asking. Like beep 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 beep.
it was like that. Yes.
I'll wait downstairs.
In a red Volkswagen.
Red
yes.
Volkswagen.
And I had
love
a
it.
drum kit on the back,
course
and my
you did.
vocalist at the time, Johnny Collini, was in the back with the drums.
Okay.
No, you told him to get in the back.
Yes, I told him to get in the back so Glenys could get in the
I
front.
just saw feet disappear into cymbals.
And she said, "Oh, shame, poor Johnny." Or poor, she didn't know what his name was,
No.
poor guy. So I said, "No, he's fine, don't worry, come sit down here."
You sit
typical.
next to me.
Yeah, that was
Right.
typical.
That
yeah.
was the start.
So many people say, was it love at first sight? I can say honestly,
Yes.
it wasn't love at first sight, but there was a magnetic attraction to this
I
man.
get that a lot.
You are all crazy.
But
I'm fine for now.
But I laid down the rules pretty soon when we started rehearsing with it, because we were booked to be a support act on the Dickie Loader show.
Yes.
Dickie was very, very big in those
Yes,
days.
he was.
And he was
Graham
headlining.
Beggs was in the band.
Absolutely, Graham and Noel Glover and Gibson, Don Gibson on bass, the late Don Gibson. And anyway, so we were booked to back Glenys because we were based in Joburg, and she was in, well, sort of in Joburg. We lived in Boxburg, we'd worked in Joburg, so we could rehearse together. Okay. Then we had, well, I mean, we had weeks to rehearse, months to rehearse. In fact, we had 2 months to rehearse, and at our second rehearsal. Now, it was our first real gig as a band, the Zombies, because we'd been starving on the road for months. Absolutely starving. I'm not kidding, I mean starving. And we get this gig where we're going to be paid money, okay, and we're going to be able to go down by train. I mean, can you believe it? Go down by train. And there were meals on the train. Huh?
Oh,
Yeah. And then Glenys tells us the second rehearsal, she doesn't think she can do the gig. So we said, why? Well, I can't do the same songs that I did when I was there with Johnny last year.
I didn't say it like that.
Okay. She said, I don't think I'll be able to do the same songs as I did with Johnny Conga's show last year.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I said, have you got records at home? She said, yes. I said, get in my car. We drove to Boxburg. I went through her records and I
And
put an act together for
Okay.
her. And then we started rehearsing.
Wow.
And then a few days later, I could see things were moving in a nice way.
Yes.
But Keith Lansome was the real lover boy in the band.
Okay.
I could see problems ahead. So I said to Glenys, we have a rule in the band.
Yes.
You're not allowed to date anybody in the band. She said, that doesn't bother me. Fine. So I thought, huh, cheek.
I made a rule like that and then I married the bass player. Forgive me, darling. You married the bass player. You're Pisces by any chance?
I am.
You're the Pisces. Okay, there had to be a Pisces in this mix. I'm telling you, there had to be. Let's talk about your first single. I think it was Jimmy Come Lately.
Yeah, absolutely.
What a great song. Come
Yes.
lately, na-na-na.
Because it used to be
Brian
Ginny.
It was,
Brian
eh?
Hyland did the original Ginny Come Lately.
Okay.
And
okay.
a guy called Derek Hannon,
Yeah.
okay, was the A&R man who they called producer, but anyway, he's a lovely guy. And he played me the song and said, look, I think the band now called Four Jacks and the Jill should record this song and do it as Jimmy Come Lately.
Yes.
So I said, great. So we started rehearsing it and we recorded it and it became a hit. And you know what?
And
what
it's such a great song.
And
You know
that's,
what-
when,
I don't know if
that's
we have a
when
copy of that.
we met Mr. Tilsha at that
Yeah.
at that place.
I want to see the video. We've got a new version of it.
Sure.
Can we take a look?
By all
I'm
means.
so excited about this. Just to even hear a new version of the song, I think it's going to be pretty special. And Julian is always in charge of that. He does the
Want to be here.
background
Do you
stuff.
remember this one?
That's Tony
That's
Starr.
Tony, yes.
Our late
Oh,
drummer.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. He passed away.
Yeah.
Yes.
Lovely guy.
Yeah, let's hear it. Come on. Was John in the band as well?
Yeah.
This was about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Was this the Victory Theatre?
Yes, yes. There's Paul.
Jimmy, come lately, sweet, sweet as can be. They have come lately, Jimmy, come lately. You're the one for me. You only had to smile, and in a little while, I was dreaming recklessly. I only met you just a couple of days ago, and no, my love for you has no more room to grow. Jimmy, come lately, my dream come true. You may have come lately, but Jimmy, come lately, I'm in love with you. Jimmy, come lately, sweet, sweet as can be. You may have come lately, but Jimmy, come lately, you're the one for me. You only had to smile, a little smile, nothing more than look at me. You only had to smile, and in a little while, I was dreaming recklessly. I only had to see the sunlight in your hair, your soft, soft silhouette to know I'll always care. Jimmy, come lately, my dream come true. You may have come lately, but Jimmy, come lately, I'm in love with you. Jimmy, come lately, sweet, sweet as can be. You may have come lately, but Jimmy, come lately, you're the one for me.
What can I say?
Hi.
Isn't that beautiful though? We were just talking now and saying how memories trigger so much in our lives. Music triggers memories.
Yeah.
Like hearing that song again and remembering your years on the road and
Oh.
remembering what you did.
Oh,
I mean,
I can still remember traveling down the main street in New York in the combi when
Yes.
we were there and hearing "Hey Jude," you know, as we and thinking,
oh my God, I've got absolute goosebumps from that.
oh yeah, on the and you
On
want
the
to
boulevard and you're just driving.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. It was actually we don't talk about it much, but just saying it now.
I'm sure. Well, why do we talk about it? It's not like you're living in the past. There's a lot of people that do. All they do is talk about the past. And it's,
Yeah.
oh, when we.
Yes.
Oh, we were great stars. We were this, we were
Yeah.
that. And I understand it's nice to hold on to things like that. But life goes on.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We go on as humans. We grow as
Yes.
people. We do
Yeah.
different things.
Oh, absolutely.
And then you'll sit in a show like this and suddenly you're remembering things and it's like, wow. I love it. I have to now just bring up Dave Marks
Yes. Yes.
and Master Jack.
Yes.
Shall I tell you the story?
I have to have the story, the full story. Don't hold back.
Okay. Well, this is what we had. This one guy in the band who started the band with me, a guy by the name of Till Hanneman, the late Till Hanneman. He passed away a couple of years ago. My very good friend. We were in school together at Roosevelt High.
Roosevelt?
Yeah,
I was at Roosevelt.
I was expelled from
I
Roosevelt.
was also maybe expelled.
Music.
Yes.
And Till used to go to the folk clubs in Hillbrow.
Yes.
Okay, and John Edmund was there one night, and John Edmund says he gave the song to me, but he didn't. He gave it to Till. And then Till came to me one day and said, listen, there's a guy called David Marks who's written a song called Master Jack. You must listen to it. So we got a little recording of it with Dave singing. Okay? And I said, I just love the song. The other members of the band kind of said, yeah. I said, no, I think it's great. So when unfortunately, the little recorder that we had, because we were playing at the Claridge's Hotel at Cookie Look at the time, was stolen. But we managed to get another recorder, and Dave came into Durban, and I got him up to the hotel. I got him into our bedroom, and I hung a microphone in the cupboard so it wouldn't be ambient, and I recorded him singing the song again. All right, so now we had a version of the song. We then were asked to record a song called Timothy. When we heard this song, we just thought, this is horrifying. But anyway, I mean, it had the moon is blue and I love you and all those kind of lyrics, you know.
The cliched stuff.
Yes. Yeah. So we said to Jamie Ace, if you don't mind, can we just change some of the lyrics a little bit and at least put in a minor chord? So he said, you can do whatever you want. I don't mind what you do with it. So anyway, so then we rearranged it. We changed the words a little and we put in a minor chord. Okay.
And this was Timothy.
Timothy.
Okay.
So then we came up to Joburg and we recorded Timothy, which then became a double gold. The first gold disc for a pop group. It became a double gold.
Absolutely.
It became a gold for Karika, who did the original version.
Who wrote the song?
A guy called Dorpa Erasmus, a friend of Karika's.
Okay.
Okay.
Because Karika was from Holland.
Yeah,
Yes.
she was from Holland, and she was in the movie Professor and the Beauty Queen.
Okay.
And she sang the original version in that song as one of the beauty queens. Anyway, so then we recorded the song and it was put in as a title, opening and closing title tracks of the movie. Well, it became a major hit. We had to do an album.
Yes.
We had to do an album.
Yeah.
I then said, well, we've got to record Master Jack. But they wanted us to do all sorts of covers. Okay? They eventually gave us a half an hour in the studio on a Sunday night. Now, we were playing at a nightclub now in Pretoria called the Elikai. They were busy working with electric saws and heaven knows what all.
At the Elikai.
At the Elikai, while we were trying to rehearse and arrange the song. I said to Bruce, you've playing that very fancy folk picking thing on the guitar. Do it with the plectrum. He said, I can't do the plectrum, it's too fast for a plectrum. I said, but you're the fastest guitarist in South Africa. You can do it with the plectrum on the Stratocaster.
Yeah.
He took up the challenge. I said, Tony, you play the same rhythm with the brushes that we do for Jackson and Lee, Nancy Sinatra, Lee Hazelwood number. Okay? And Till and myself will just follow with rhythm and bass. That's how we arranged the song. We got in the car, we drove through an unbelievable storm. Thank God I was in my Mercedes because an oncoming car was on the wrong side of the road, straight for us. I was able to hit the dirt, the mud. The car stayed on all four wheels. We got around, got onto the road.
Wow.
We got into the studio. We recorded that song in 20 minutes. 20 minutes. Dennis wasn't even happy with her vocal.
Timothy.
No, and this is Master Jack.
This is Master Jack. Okay.
Yes.
Sorry, I thought we were going back to.
No, we'd now done Timothy.
Master Jack.
It was now the follow-up album.
Okay. Gotcha.
So now we're doing Master Jack. We're recording Master Jack.
David's song.
David's song. So now they do a release of the follow-up single for Timothy. It's called I Look Back, a Perry Como cover.
This is his favorite story.
So, I mean, it was a lovely song, I Look Back. It had some really great chords and nice bass part and so on. It was super. Bruce did a sterling job on it. Anyway, so I've been convinced the record company to put Master Jack on the B-side. Okay? Now we have a release of Master Jack, rather of Timothy, at Teal Record Company, and Jamie Ace is there to present a gold disc for us for Timothy and so on. And I'm sitting talking to Issy Nathan, the main salesperson of Teal.
Teal, I remember.
Do you?
Izzy.
And he says to me, he says, listen, I'll tell you what's the hit. Not I Look Back, it's Master Jack. I'll tell you, my stomach did a jump, hey? So I took him and I said, never. I'll bet you 5 rand. 5 rand is a lot of money in 1967. I'll bet you 5 rand you're wrong. You know what he did? Okay, the records, 7 singles came out in boxes of 25.
Yes.
And on the one side, the box, you opened the box, you saw I Look Back. On the other box you opened, you saw Master Jack. His salespeople went in and they sold 2 boxes of the same record to every record shop. That's why both songs got on the hit parade at the same time.
Oh my goodness.
And Master Jack became the hit.
The hit.
And Timothy was, and so was, we had Timothy, Master Jack, I Look Back in the top 10 all at the same time.
That's unheard of.
It was incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Wow.
And it happens so fast. You actually
Yeah.
It happens so fast. And that lady or gentleman who mentioned Tilsha,
Yes.
Yes.
this all happened around that time at the Kenaway Hotel.
Yes.
And Mr. Tilsha and Clive had already met them at another hotel in Albertinia, was it?
Yeah, years
And
before.
he'd met them, and so now we meet him at the Kenaway Hotel. He was responsible for saying,
We've got to change our look.
Yeah.
I like the band, I like the music, don't like the look. Change the look. We had black leather, long hair. Change
"No,
the
you
look.
didn't have black
Not
leather, long hair."
Black leather.
Did you have black leather and long hair?
No. We wore black leather and long hair.
I just saw dreadlocks.
All of us long hair.
So,
Was he a redhead?
No,
it was
blonde.
blonde. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I said to the band, we've got to change our look when we get the gig. They were totally against, especially Keith Lanson. Oh, he flipped. Oh, it's another story. Keith flipped. But we changed the look, we changed the band, and we recorded Jimmy Come Lately and Monster Jack, and Jimmy Come Lately. Four Jacks and the Jill then became recording artists with hits.
So no more black leather jackets,
No more.
black stovepipes, long
Right.
hair. It was white pants, blue jackets,
Okay.
white polo
So
necks,
just a
white
more
shoes.
refined kind of look.
Well, we were going to a restaurant that had silverware on the tables.
Yes,
really.
darling. Silverware.
Silverware.
And napkins.
And napkins. proper
napkins.
And they served the most delightful meals.
I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
God, those were the days when we
Yeah.
used to work in nice restaurants
Yeah.
and nice hotels,
those
and they would give us good food.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes. Hey, what about when we were in Cape Town just before we got engaged, and we were eating with the
In the
with
staff?
in the staff
Oh,
dining
of
room
course.
in the Grand Hotel. It's not there anymore.
It was
in
the
Grand
first-
Hotel,
first five
and
star.
we had a waiter called Godfrey.
And Godfrey used to lisp and spit.
So he would walk around the table and say, "Tonight we have big fish," and then he would serve the pudding with his thumbs.
Comes in the custard.
And when he was
That is weird,
when he
man.
got interested in stories, then he
Yes.
would lean on Tony's head with his elbow while he was talking to Clive.
It was incredible.
We
Godfrey.
can't forget
Godfrey.
Godfrey.
No, Godfrey was.
You see, there's those memories
yes,
again. Oh, I
yes.
love it.
Yes.
Obviously, everybody is dying to hear or see that big hit. And funnily enough, I heard a story that it was released on the day that Verwoerd was shot.
No.
Very
happened?
close.
No,
was
what
that?
actually
it
happened was this. Now, this is the story that David told me, okay?
Okay.
David came up from underground. He was working in as a miner.
A miner.
A miner. He came up from
My
underground
goodness,
and
yeah.
he saw his shift boss involved in a fight with a couple of other guys in the canteen. He went and helped his shift boss. Okay, as they were walking away after having dealt with the other guys, he said to David, David said to the shift boss, "What is that all about? Wat gaan hier aan?" So the guy said, "Ek het gesê ek is bly die donder is dood. I'm glad that the so-and-so is
Yeah,
dead." So
okay.
David said, Who's dood? So he said, "Weet jy nie, dis Verwoerd, hy's dood." And he said, "Didn't you know Verwoerd has been assassinated?" And David thought, what a strange world. Here I
What
thought
a
David
strange
thought every
world.
Afrikaner was apartheid supporters and
Yes,
hated,
yes,
etc., etc.,
yes.
etc. And here he found an Afrikaner who was actually fighting for the fact that he was pleased that Verwoerd had died. And he wrote the song
What
Master Jack.
about
What a
that?
strange, strange world we live in.
Yeah, because the the shift boss is called
Bus Jack and
Bus
so
Jack.
yeah.
yes.
What a story.
Yeah.
It's in my
That's
book, by the way. Look, I
Did
even,
you bring your book?
I even brought my book along. How's that?
Let's have a look at this. Wow. Nothing is impossible in a strange, strange world.
Yeah.
I'm sure this is available. Anybody wants to get one?
It's
Well,
available as an ebook at the moment.
Ebooks?
but the ebook is actually not. It doesn't have some of the things that the next
I
copy
know.
will have. Yes.
But I bet this is going to be a great story.
it is,
It's
and
very-
it's
it's
only
very
half
interesting.
of it. It's
People
only
have-
half
I
the
can
story.
imagine. When are you writing the next part?
I'm busy with the second.
Is it?
This one ended when Lisa arrived. This one
Okay.
ended in 1969.
Lisa was your firstborn.
She
Yeah,
was
she's
our
51
firstborn.
now.
Oh my goodness.
People thought that was the reason we came back from America. It wasn't actually. we came back from America because we had a massive tour lined up.
Yes.
Glynis happened to be pregnant. We had to go back to America to go and do a whole lot more gigs, which Glynis was going to do as a pregnant singer. And our agent said the people will love it. They will love to see a pregnant girl singing on stage. But
What a story!
unfortunately, two of the guys, this was Bruce Bach, Brian Boom, Edward Brian Boom, and Till Hanneman decided to leave the band at that point. This was a
This
long...
was, okay, so wait, we want to get to America first.
Yeah.
So let's look at Master Jack. Dave Marks, who I'm going to be having on the show quite soon, 'cause
Good.
he is just a legend.
Yes.
I also used to, I had a guitar teacher, Eric Solomon. Eric used to play with Mel and Julian. He was a beautiful guitarist.
Yeah.
And Eric used to take me when I was like 14 or 15 to all those little troubadour clubs in the Dunkin'
Yeah,
Donut and all those places. And I used to play there, Colin Shamley, and all the big guys used to play there. And I used to go and play a couple of folky little songs there. So that for me was such an experience. And I met Dave Marks there. It was also for me like, these are the big stars of the folk scene.
He
You
writes
know,
beautiful
writes
songs.
fantastic songs.
Oh,
Without a doubt, Dave's most beautiful song that I feel he's ever written is on our album. It's in fact, it's on the DVD. It's called I'd Love to Write a Love Song. It is the most beautiful song ever.
Anybody wants to listen to a really good song of Dave Marks?
yeah. I believe it was a love song for his wife.
Yeah.
Really, yeah, he loves it.
Yes.
And she just passed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know, because my friend Ingi, her brother is married to Dave's daughter. Small world.
It is,
Remember
yeah.
our crazy drummer, Ingi? Well, I call
Yeah.
her our crazy drummer because she's like off a rocker, but the best person in the whole wide
I
world.
never watched your band.
Oh, that's okay.
No, I know but this is disappointment, not apologies. This is disappointment.
It was a crazy band. It was a good band.
I heard
We also
so.
had a good run.
Yes.
You know, we had a great overseas run as well.
Where
and
did you go?
So we
All
were
over
in
Europe.
Germany and
Yes.
Holland and France and Sweden and
Did you go? We
those-
didn't go to Sweden.
and we just broken into the top 100 in the Billboard, and that's when everything fell apart. That's another story. I think one day I'll have clout on here just to tell all those crazy stories.
I really think you
What
should.
about that?
Yes.
So let's watch one of my classic favorites also.
It's a strange, strange world we live in, Master Jack. He taught me all I knew and I never learned. It's a very strange world and I thank you, Master Jack. You took a colored ribbon from out of the sky and taught me how to use it as the years went by. To tie up all your problems and make them believe, and then to sell them to the people in the street. It's a strange, strange world we live in, Master Jack. He taught me all I knew and I never looked back. It's a very strange world and I thank you, Master Jack. I saw right through the way you started teaching me now. So someday soon you could get to use me somehow. I thank you very much, you know you've been very kind. But I better move along before you change my mind. It's a strange, strange world we live in, Master Jack. No hard feelings if I never come back. It's a very strange world and I thank you, Master Jack.
A few issues with tonight's been crazy.
Yes.
It's been one of those nights,
Yes.
hasn't it?
Yes, it
But we
has.
don't care. We just do whatever we want. It's our show.
Cindy.
My friend Anthony, he lives in Mallorca, Spain.
I
Wonderful
saw
to see
Spain.
4 Jackson and Jill from here in Spain. Biggest salutes, Clive and Glennis. We would have loved to have had the whole band on, I promise, like John
Yes,
and all
yes,
the boys.
yes.
But
Oh,
space is limited, and then it becomes a whole talk fest.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And then nobody can get a word in
No,
edgeways.
no.
Okay, so from Master Jack,
Yeah.
let's talk about the top 20, and let's talk about America. Billboard,
Sure.
top 100, number 8.
Okay.
Number
Honeymoon.
8.
Honeymoon. Marriage.
Okay, tell me.
Honeymoon.
Yes.
Phone call to Clive. Middle of honeymoon. Beverly Hills Hotel. Clive, you're on the top. You're on the billboard. You're on Cashbox. You have to go to America. So I went on honeymoon with 4 guys to America.
Well, we
as,
won't,
as it happens.
we won't say any more about that. You know,
Well, I would have loved to have gone with 4 guys on honeymoon.
That was the short version.
Okay, good.
you know the story of Master Jack was phenomenal,
Yes.
because what happened was we got our first release overseas with Master Jack in England
Okay.
through with Columbia.
Yes.
Trini Lopez was touring South Africa when it was being played day and night, and eventually he got so sick and tired of that. Okay, he started complaining.
Trini Lopez was
complaining. Yes. Anyway, McGraw
that
said
they
to,
weren't playing his song.
yes,
enough.
exact. So McGraw said, look, why don't you record Master Jack?
Right.
So Trini, one Sunday night, went to the studio, and McGraw had set up 5 rows of chairs with people, because Trini liked to work in audience.
Yes.
You know,
yes,
that was his
sure.
thing.
And he also liked brass and stuff like that. Yeah.
Well, not so much, not on that song anyway.
Not on that song.
But anyway, so he recorded it. Now, on the Monday, we had a photo shoot with Ray Walter, our producer, okay? And Ray was miserable, and I was saying, Ray, you're actually being miserable. You know, you're not going to get a smile out of us.
It was
What's
in
the
the
problem?
wilds.
It was in the wilds there at Houghton.
I know the wilds.
So he said, look, guys, let's have a meeting. I've got to tell you something. I said, what? He said, well, Trini recorded Master Jack last night, and on one condition, that he has world rights outside of South Africa. So your release in England has been cancelled.
Ah.
And I said, well, if that's the case, you can tell Mr. McGrath from me, he'll never get another recording out of us. He might get us into the studio, but we won't play in time or sing in tune or anything. And then we just stormed off. So we had a few black and white photos that were taken. When you look at those photos, you can see we were miserable. The next day, Ray walks into McGrath's office, and he sits on McGrath's desk. Now, you don't do that to Gerald McGrath. And he says to Gerald, you know, you have been an absolute SH1T to
Yeah.
the kids.
Yeah.
So McGrath says, what are you talking about? He said, because you've taken their only chance of getting out of this country, you've taken it and given it to Trini. So McGrath thought about this, and he thought, oh, hang on a second. And he was a very clever man. So he went to Lord someone or other, whose name I've never been able to find out, who is the head of the whole RCA Victor label and everybody else who was anything in the industry, and said, do you know that your international department has turned down a song called Master Jack, which Trini Lopez is about to release in America? So immediately they said, what? They then released ours, full page ads on Cashbox, Billboard, Melody Maker, God knows what all, and suddenly it was happening. Trini was on stage in Salisbury at the time, and he heard about this.
Oh.
My friend Dave Manley was doing the sound, and Trini took Dave's mic and he smashed it against the wall in the dressing room. He was so mad. He refused to go back on stage. The audience so clapped for I don't know how long, and eventually he had to go out. And then the manager, the promoter, was a guy called Al Herbert. He came to Trini and said, if you don't do your act, they're going to take your passport away. So he said, well, I'll go to the American Embassy. And they said, there's no American Embassy in Salisbury at the moment. So you're not going to get out of this country, so go and finish your act. So that's how he went and finished his act. But Paul Jackson and Jill's song was now released in America with massive publicity.
Yes.
Do you know that Frank Sinatra, who owned Reprise,
Yes.
who was Trini's godfather,
Manager, yeah.
okay, he even phoned Gerald McGrath and threatened him with the mafia.
Really?
Yeah, threatened him with the mafia.
They're
And
gonna
Gerald
come
said,
and shoot your legs
Gerald
off.
said, it's got nothing to do with me. RCA were given it because it's on the RCA label. They were given the song first.
Yeah.
They must have heard from somebody that Trini was doing it.
What a story.
And that's how Master Jack got to be. I mean, it wasn't just us being lucky and the record being released. A
was
lot
a
of
lot of
things
stuff happening.
happened in the background.
And 3 cheers for Ray Walter.
Yeah, absolutely.
He just stuck with it.
He stuck with it.
He cared.
Yeah.
He cared.
Well, I tell you, when your company, record company management, any of those, when they fight for you, that's a good feeling.
It's
Yeah.
a good feeling.
It's a good
we had
feeling.
a,
And
yeah.
Clive fought for you. I'm talking about
Yes,
he was
yes.
on your side.
Yes.
There's a lot of artists that don't get that.
A lot.
A lot of artists
a lot
that
of
don't
artists.
get support.
Yes.
Or they'll get somebody that's there conditionally.
Yes. Yes.
You know, and I think that's a huge thing for any artist.
It's
I think
huge.
part of your success, not saying you weren't talented because that got you there, but part of your success, you had great support systems.
Absolutely.
Oh, you
It
know
has
what,
to be.
Cindy?
It
has
has
to
to
be.
be.
You actually, there's more to it than that. More to it
Oh,
than
of
that.
course.
So many people saw, you know, the lineup on stage, and I don't know if if anybody's listening who did this. I don't think they realize what they do if they come up to me in front of Clive and say, "You don't need this group. You don't need him. You're everything."
That happens
you know,
a lot.
And so many times he had to listen to that. I just want to say they had no idea. They had no idea that I wasn't ambitious.
Yeah.
I had this gift. I loved to sing. I was happy when I was singing, and God gave me him.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah.
and people need to know that, because he's actually been put down so many times, but he still pops up every time.
But those are the ones that always get the flack.
Yeah.
You know, the managers and all that. They're the
Yeah.
ones that get into all the trouble, and everybody's always shouting
Yeah.
at them and why
Yeah.
you do this or why do that. And I know that they have a hard time.
Yeah,
You know, I do know that.
yeah,
There's so much to it that you say, as you say, that people don't even know about, that don't hear about. They see the band or they see something big
Yeah.
that's happened, and
Yeah.
especially nowadays.
yeah.
Remember, nowadays everything's on that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everything's on the
Yes.
net.
Yeah.
Everything's
Yes.
downloadable. Everything's squeezable. We can make putty out of it and make it into whatever we want to make. In those days, if you couldn't sing and you couldn't play, you were not going to happen.
No,
You were
no.
not going to happen. That's all there is to it.
But he was the visionary, the businessman, the
Yeah.
ideas man, the one that, well, look, everybody in the group had such an important place, but Tony
Tony
was our
Tony,
road manager,
drummer,
and he was our drummer.
and
He-
Rhodey, and I mean, he was just such a stalwart. I mean,
Yeah.
he stuck with me when I was being kicked out of the band when we were still the Zombies. One night in Nelspruit, I was being told by our manager that I was being kicked out the band. He said, the boys and I have agreed that you've got to go.
Wow.
And Tony said, the boys? That doesn't include me. If Clive goes, I go. So you've got no bass player, you've got no leader, and you've got no drummer. Needless to say, the manager didn't last very long. But you know, I've got a lovely story. I've got to tell you this.
Please, I like
know-
lovely stories.
People often say, you know, you mentioned when you were talking to Josh, and Josh said we came back because Glenys was pregnant, and then we never really cracked it. But we did crack it because we lasted for many years after that. But
And that's another
what-
thing that drives me mad.
yeah,
They didn't crack it. Oh, she came back with her tail between her legs.
yeah.
Does anybody know what it's like living overseas and working hard
And
like that?
and working in top places,
Top
having
places.
unbelievable artists as your support.
Yes.
Li-
Chaka
li-
Khan.
Yeah, well,
I read that.
yeah, she was with us on,
Yes.
on a show in Holland.
Absolutely.
You know,
I mean, she's like a queen.
yeah, and she was delightful.
I bet
Even
you
though
she
we were
was.
white South Africans, she treated
No.
us like stars. You know, I must tell you this little story just to do with this working with artists. When I was running my television production house, we were busy filming somebody, and I was talking to this. I won't name him because it'll embarrass him, but he's a very good motivational speaker, but he likes to do a lot of comedy. And I said to him, "Tell me, who's your favorite comedian? So he said, oh, a guy you've never heard of. So I said, well, try me. So he said, his name is George Carlin.
Oh.
So I said, George Carlin, really? I said, you know, George Carlin opened for us at the nightclub in Columbus, Ohio. He said, oh, I won't say the whole word. He didn't believe me, so I went to our pile of scrapbooks, of which there were about 20 that Tony, a drummer, had kept. I pulled out February 1969. I opened it up. I said, is this the George Carlin you're talking about?
Oh my God.
You know, he didn't even have the guts to apologize.
Of course not.
Hey, can you believe that? So this is the story I want. This is the story I wanted
So
to tell
this is
you.
the lead up to the lead up.
The lead up to the.
Yes.
Does he do lead up to? I
To
love
lead
the
up-
way she knows him very well.
Yeah,
He's doing a lead up to a lead up,
lead up,
maybe a
yes.
lead up, maybe a bit of a lead
This
up.
is, people said, why did you come back from America? So I said, well, because our time in America wasn't over. We were going back to America. We had a whole lot of shows lined up. In fact, even to perform as one of the acts in Radio City Music Hall.
Oh my Lord.
I mean, ridiculous.
Just
okay.
tell me quickly, sorry, I'm going to interject here and there because I need to know. How long did you stay in America
Just
for?
on a year.
A
just on
year.
a- yeah.
Touring in America is
Yeah.
a long time.
It was.
We were in an apartment building next to the New York's
The Empire State.
The
We looked
Empire
up the
State
side of the
buildings.
Empire State.
and
That's not shabby.
No, it was lovely.
But the apartment I did clean it.
There were
I bet you when you arrived it was shabby.
there were 3 apartments. We had one, the other guys each shared
Sure.
and shared. Anyway, so what happened was this. We were performing at a nightclub in, not in Columbus, in Philadelphia,
Okay.
okay? And a very famous artists followed us and came on before us and so on and so forth. But a very famous music producer came in and saw us, a guy called Don Richards,
Rico? No.
Don Kirshner.
Ah,
Okay.
He produced the Monkees and the
Okay.
Archies. And he wanted Glennis in his new band.
Uh-oh.
So when we get back to New York, our attorney, Alan Arrow, calls Glennis and myself into his office and said, listen, Glennis has been offered an incredible break with a guy called Don Kirshner. He wants to form a band called Tomorrow. But he only wants Glennis. He doesn't want the Jacks. And because he's got a black guy, they had to have token blacks in those days, and 2 other guys. So Glennis just said, but we've got our own band, and we're doing great.
Yeah.
We don't need this. So he said, well, it's your decision, okay? Now, unfortunately, the guys got the wrong end of the stick. They thought that Don Kirshner wanted us to become the life form of the Archies. Crazy.
what?
We couldn't have. You know, they did Sugar and those numbers.
Yes.
but because they were just a recording, it was a studio group.
It
the
was a
Archies.
studio group.
And they wanted
I
us to
understand
be
life form,
yes,
that
yes.
you were going to be doing these
Yes,
their songs.
yes.
and
Yeah,
stuff.
Yes.
yeah. And they thought that we had turned this down because Glennis was pregnant. And that was why those 2 guys left the band. And I only found that out 30 years
ago.
later.
Yeah.
Okay.
And those things happen a lot.
And
as
do you
well.
know
Do
do you know who
misunderstanding.
his second choice was for Tomorrow?
Who?
You know, you won't believe me if I tell you.
Oh, she will.
She will. She'll believe you.
Will you promise you will?
I swear I'll
Olivia
believe you.
Newton-John.
Well, there you go.
That-
Duh.
and you know the strange thing is, Olivia made it, but that group didn't make it. So,
No.
and that's what we turned down.
And
Now,
she is
I'm back in New
amazing.
York, okay, busy doing the final things. We had to go, our first gig was at the Shoreham Hotel in the Blue Room. We were following Shirley Bassey, I might add.
Excuse me?
Yeah, we were following Shirley Bassey.
That's something.
Then after that, it was the Radio City Music Hall. Then it was across to Canada. We had 3 shows, massive shows lined up there, plus back to Columbus. I mean, all sorts of stuff.
Yes.
And I get this message from Glennis. I said, is everybody ready to come? Because we've got to start in 3 days. She said, Clive, I'm going to read a letter to you. And she read me Till's and Bruce's resignation from the band.
Because of they believed the
Because
wrong
they
story.
thought that we had turned down something that would have benefited the
that
whole
we had
band.
turned down this Archie project to be the live Archies, and it wasn't.
Miscommunication.
Yeah.
And so we couldn't go back to America
So-
as a group.
Really? No. Oh
And you
my
know what?
gosh. But you could have
Do-
found other people.
But not in
but
3 days.
Not easy. No, not in 3 days.
No.
And there's all those coulda, shoulda, wouldas because we
Yeah.
were just breaking in America. We should have found another manager.
Yeah.
La la la, here we go.
Yeah,
It never happened.
exactly.
Couldn't have happened.
Yeah.
And I believe, as I bet you do, things happen for a reason.
Yes.
Everything happens because it's
Yes.
meant to be that way.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we make choices
Yes.
Yeah.
that change our lives.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you know what?
And-
David Marks was in New York at the same time, and he phoned me. He was also battling to get money. He'd gone to Alan Arrow
Yeah.
to get some money through.
Did he ever get paid?
Nothing like he should have.
Nothing like he should
Nothing
have.
like he
You
should have. But he
see?
got some money, and he told me, Clive, I'm going to be working on a big folk and pop concert, and I'm sure we can have 4 Jackson and Jill on it as well. I said, I'd love to, but I don't have a band anymore. What's the concert called? He says, a thing called Woodstock.
Oh my God.
Hey?
A thing called,
Called
Woodstock.
Woodstock.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just some little hippie thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, can you
Those
believe it?
days,
Imagine.
those days.
Oh.
My
You
God.
see, you were in that time, and Jimi Hendrix and the
Yeah.
Beatles, and
Yes.
Yeah.
driving down
Yes.
the boulevard with
Yes.
Hey Jude playing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then
Um,
on stage down south with the Monkeys and with
Oh, geez, we did some great concerts. You know, our first big concert in
Read some of those lovely
our
messages.
biggest concert, first big concert in America was in Birmingham, was in Montgomery, Alabama.
Wow.
20,000 kids inside, all with their little Instamatics.
Oh my God, those were the days, hey?
And we had, on the bill with us were the Monkeys. It was Gary Puckett and the Union
Oh,
Gap,
my Lord.
Herman's Hermits.
You
I mean,
see?
umpteen of them.
But you were in that genre.
Absolutely.
And you were a pop band.
Yeah.
and when they did those songs, they sounded, comparatively speaking, like heavy rock to us when you come on and
No,
sing. It's
sure.
a strange, strange world.
No, of course.
You know, and I thought when we go on, they're going to go, huh? You know,
No, but they loved it.
After I'm a believer, you know, for the
Yeah.
Monkeys, you know, and then we came on and they go,
And they go berserk.
They
Absolutely berserk.
absolutely loved.
yeah.
It was incredible.
Eddie Ray.
Eddie.
Yeah, Eddie. I want to
Rafa.
say, Eddie, what made you decide to sing in Africa?
You did the click song.
Oh, I love the African languages. I still love them. I love to sing in them. I also like singing in Afrikaans because every language has its own intonation.
Its own feel, yeah.
Yeah, but the African songs, I still love them. I love the clicks. Sakakuba satsi baga natsi pata pata.
It's a special thing.
Yeah.
And also being from Africa,
Yes,
when you can say it.
yes.
It's not just the saying of it, it's the rhythm of
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
it.
Yes, that's it. That's it. Yes, absolutely.
No, it's a rhythm. It's
Yeah.
a thing.
Yes,
absolutely.
and those songs.
And you sang that stuff, and you guys are also involved in a charity
Yeah.
that is very interesting. Please tell us
Uh,
a little bit about that. Just
my-
a little bit, Clive.
Okay.
No, kidding.
I'll talk as fast. That's why I wrote a book, because people
I know.
they want all the stories.
Are we going to have a midnight snack?
So can you bring in the cookies, please? We all need a little bit of sustenance.
I was taking our light lamaki, Amy,
Yes.
to school one day, and she saw a guy pushing a supermarket trolley loaded up with junk. And she said, "What's he doing, Dad?"
Yeah.
I said, "He's going to sell that stuff for a few rand." She says, "Can't you do something to help him?" I said, "Well, if I put that in the car, it'll help him once." She said, "Well, go back home and think of something. Promise me, you'll think of something that will really help him." Thank you.
Julian, what
I mean,
a producer you are.
That is just.
Everybody has to have a cookie.
Thank you.
I love it. Thank you, darling.
This is absolutely
Isn't this
amazing.
lovely?
This is so real.
It is surreal. This is what we do.
So the idea
Let's
that
have a
came,
cookie.
the idea that came
Cheers.
to me, I might add, as a result of prayer, was
Yes.
supply these guys with tricycles, put
Okay.
advertising on the tricycles,
Oh, that's so smart.
and get some money for the advertising, but give the guys the tricycles for free, give them uniforms, look after them, teach them, help them in every way you can, and at the same time, they get a stipend every month as well.
Wow.
Not a salary, a stipend.
Is this still going?
It's still going very strong.
Brilliant. What
Very
a great
strong.
thing.
Yeah, it's called the Pagama Project, which means stand up.
Wow.
Yeah.
You see, I love it when people give back. We have been in a position like I don't have money. You know, it's not like I've got money, but I do give. I mentor young artists. I'll talk to them. I'll give them free
Encourage
singing
them,
lessons.
yes.
Whatever I can do,
Cindy.
they'll come and talk to me and, hey, can you help with this and help with this?
That means
I will
so
do
much.
whatever I can. You know, I don't have all the resources I'd like to have, but I like doing that, and I think
Yeah, me too.
that
Yeah.
there's a lot of artists that people don't even know. I mean, stupid things like John Bon Jovi's got these restaurants, and he gives people food from his restaurants, gives the poor, the homeless, food from his amazing restaurants.
Yeah.
At the end of the night, he just takes all the food left over and gives it to them. And
yes.
these are people that are able
Yes.
to do something.
Yes.
And if you're able to do something, do it, whatever it is, however small it may be. I just want to thank everybody that's come on tonight. I'm sorry we didn't talk to you much, but damn, we had so many great stories happening here.
Oh,
And
Spain
we
was
have
wonderful.
The Eddie, Shirley, thank you. Lovely to
Yeah,
hear from them. Can
yeah.
we see some of those other messages there, guys? Ali, John B. Ferrier, come on over.
We stayed just over the road from him.
Tony Gaza, thank you, Tony. I am feeling better. Tony called me nearly every day to find out if I was okay. And Jenny Horton, very good
Many
friend
years.
of mine.
Hi from
Also-
a Boxburger now. Hi.
Yeah, such fond memories.
Till Hanneman. Oh, wow. Funniest and naughtiest man. He was such a kind man. And I use the word was very sadly because actually he had a heart attack in an airport while meeting his son and wife to go away on Clive's birthday. And we only found out about 2 or 3 months later, 6 months later.
Yeah.
So I
That is
don't
a
know
terribly sad
if his
story.
wife and daughter will actually see this, but that was really
It was
a
shocking.
shock, very sad shock.
Well, as
Yeah.
everybody knows, that you can always come and watch this again. It's all going to be, it's always on YouTube,
Yeah.
Discover TV. YouTube has a channel. Where are they now? Next week, we have another fabulous guest. I've been so lucky to have been able to have been well, to start coming back into the studio again. I'm so grateful. I
sure.
just didn't want to cancel another one. I had to cancel 2, and I was like, I'm not canceling another one. And I've been so lucky, and I've had so many beautiful messages and blessings.
Yeah, you've
from
been, like
people.
said before we came
You
on here,
know.
you've been so prayed for.
I
You've been so
know.
loved, so cared for, you know, because of who you are and what you do. And so you know, people praying, I mean, we've also known people who've gone, you know, and you're
understand.
here
I'm
3
here.
weeks later.
I'm here.
Yes,
I'm
eating cookies.
eating cookies. Have you noticed how many cookies? I'm older and wider.
Wiser.
Wise. Okay. I want to thank my team. They are just fabulous. They're always great. I want
They
to
are
thank
great.
both of you. We've been working on this for a while. I started bothering Clive about 5 months ago, before you even moved. He said, oh, we'll be moving and we've got things to do. And I said, oh, I understand. Hi, Clive, how are things going? Have you moved yet? Not yet, blah, blah, blah. So I really had to push for this. We could have gone on for another 3 hours.
Yes, yes.
So much more to talk about. Let me just ask you both, sitting here right now in your lives, what really matters to you right now?
Ooh, that's a question I'd have to answer very honestly.
You have to.
Yeah.
Please.
What matters to me most is where we go. When we leave here, because people who are Jewish people and people who are Christians, I think they're the closest to knowing what is really happening in this world at the moment.
Yes,
And
I
so, what
understand.
is most important to me is that the people that I know would have the beliefs that we have, so that they would know where they're going afterwards.
Okay,
Yeah,
I understand that.
yeah. And my family and,
And
yours.
that's huge. That is
Yes.
really big.
Yeah.
And it reminds people, it reminds us all that there are bigger things than us.
Absolutely.
We are not it.
No.
We are lucky to be here. And we should be grateful to be
Yeah.
here. And don't think we've got it all
No.
settled out and sorted
Oh,
out,
no.
because we don't know
No.
anything.
These
Yeah.
gifts don't belong to us. They're given to us. We're not the gift. We're just the people, the person.
We are the messengers.
messengers.
Messengers that are
Absolutely.
And you, Clive, dear, what would you say matters right now in your life?
What matters right now, besides my family and my wife, is helping other people, helping people that just haven't got the opportunities that I've had and have had to make the best of. And there's just so much that can be done to help those that don't have. So much.
Thank you for that. And thank you both for being here and still being these divine people that you were all those years ago.
Cindy, you are just so, I never met you, I never knew you. Your group to me was, just the name of it was like, rah, you know. And
Rah.
yeah.
We were the rah girls.
Yes, and I just thought, I wonder what she's like. You are such a blessing to talk to.
Oh.
You are so encouraging and so enthusiastic.
So
and,
real.
And so real. And you've made us be more real. You've enabled us to be real and be what we are tonight because of who you are. You know, and so I want to thank you for that. And I also wanted to, I'm jumping subjects. I also want to say, regarding Keith, who, you know, Clive, you spoke about him earlier.
Yes.
I mean, we're best of friends. He's been married to the same lady all his life, and he's got grandchildren and children. And Tony, the drummer, he's happily married also. And Paul was the one there. Well, that's another whole story. Do you have second editions?
Absolutely.
Dog.
Just want to thank all the members of the band.
You've had
There
such
are many members.
an array of members in the band. Paul Nissen, I know personally, also
Yes.
lovely,
Yes.
lovely man.
Yes.
Lovely.
And John Ferry, of course, who do, and Tony
Yes.
Stock, I knew well,
Yes.
and Josh
Josh
Sclair.
We
Claire.
had 27 jacks.
27
29.
jacks.
Yes, and two or three of
Wow.
them till passed
No,
away.
6 of them altogether. I was counting earlier today. 6
Wow.
6 what?
have passed away.
Yes.
And look at you two are still around, still looking great, still looking healthy.
Just too much of us.
Too much of a good thing, baby.
Love that.
Whoop, whoop.
Love it. More.
It doesn't matter. You know, I also spent my whole, you know, young life. I had to be skinny and gorgeous with the hair and the whole thing. And
Big
it gets, the big hair, of course, we had the big hair.
Yes.
I had a lot of hair.
Yes.
And then I think you get to a point in your life where what really matters, and as we were just saying, what matters is the real stuff. You know, the stuff that you wake up in the morning and go, I'm here, I'm going to do a good day today.
Yes.
I'm just going to do the best I can.
Yes.
You
yes.
know?
Yes.
And music is so inspiring.
Yeah.
And thank you all for listening, for taking the time to enjoy Alan Gold. Hi,
wow.
Alan. Remember
Love,
Universal
love,
Healing.
sweet love.
Yeah.
My friend Gail
Universal
Prosser,
Healing.
Suzanne Brenner.
Hello.
Do you remember her? Fabulous journalist, Suzanne. Absolutely brilliant.
Oh, it's,
Gail Prosser, so glad to see you back. Great show.
that's lovely. Oh, thank you for your comments.
Thank you,
for your
everybody.
interest. Thank you for all these years. Thank you so much.
And there are more years to come because everybody's waiting for another song from Paul Jackson or Joel.
Just listen to Township Taxi, written by Paul Nissen. It's a magnificent little song.
Okay, there you go. There's not enough time in the
No,
world,
no.
in our lives, to do everything that we want to do.
No.
But just keep
That's what
doing
he
it.
says all the time.
You got to just keep doing it, keep
Yes.
doing it. And I think everybody needs to keep doing it. And especially if you've been sick or anything like that, just remember time, you can't get it back. You can't get time back. Look after yourselves out there. Take care of other people. You know, do the best that we all can. We have an amazing team that look after this show, and I absolutely
they
adore
are.
them
I
all. Big hands.
Vouch for that.
to
They
all of
even
them.
brought us cookies.
Yes, cookies. And I just want to thank Cherie because she just does so much for me. She's always helping out.
Yes.
And you guys, wow, for Jackson and Jill Allen. We're going to play out with a song, one of my favorite songs of yours.
Okay.
Oh, it's just so delightful. Enjoy, everybody. Blessings and peace and love, and we'll see you next
I
week.
love you, Timothy. I love you, Timothy. I love you, Timothy. You're just the guy for me. I look into your eyes. Do I see truth or lies? I love you, Timothy. I love you, Timothy. I love you, Timothy. You're just the guy for me. Is there another love? Who are you thinking of? Do you still care for me? Don't hide the truth from me. With all that we've been through, I thought I paid my due. I gave you all I had. Why should it end so sad? Timothy, I must be free. Timothy.